Welcome to another edition of Success Talk. This is Dr. Herbert Harris bringing you an incredible interview today with a young lady, Tia Hamilton, who has a bookstore in Baltimore, Maryland, urban bookstore, and who's doing incredible things to help uplift people and show them a new way. Welcome, Tia, to Success Talk.
Thank you for having me. How you doing?
We're doing great today. I'm excited about meeting you because, Baltimore has always been a very key city in a lot of the things that I've done. Montel Williams comes from Baltimore. He was a good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And the bookstore, the Nati and the bookstore in Baltimore have been strong supporters of our book. And so your bookstore is one of the last in the city, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm the only black woman-led bookstore with a storefront in Baltimore City.
Yeah, because everyone I knew when I started out in the book business, there were 3 or 4, in addition to Nati, but every one of them is gone now. So you're the last of a long line.
Well, it's been dope. I love what I do. It's been amazing.
Well, what is the thing? What do you think is, look, one, how long have you all been in business?
3.5 years.
Wow. Okay. And what is your secret to success? Why has your big bookstore been able to survive and thrive when so many others are just falling by the wayside?
I'm not conforming.
Okay. I like that.
And I do what I do, and I do it well. So
Okay.
can't nobody stop me from producing what I produce. And as long as I keep that on the straight and narrow, I can't fail.
All right. I love that. Well, I tell you, I know that now. What did you do before you had the bookstore?
Well, I've always been an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since I'm 2003.
Mm-hmm.
So I always did different things. The most recent was a radio station. I owned that. And then I owned a magazine. So I decided to produce this magazine, which is called State versus Us magazine. It highlights high profile cases. It talk about the corruption that goes on in the prison system, the police department, the government. It also talks to the wrongful convictions of men and women that are in prison. And I highlight success stories of formerly incarcerated, such as myself. And it's in the prison. So when I already had distribution through Barnes and Nobles and Books A Million, but I wanted local action. So I wasn't given that opportunity, so I got a bookstore. I opened up a bookstore just to put my magazine on my shelf.
Mm-hmm.
But I also wanted to put prison authors on. So when that happened, the literacy just was a no-brainer. White America is on 7th and 9th grade reading level, but Black America is on 3rd and 4th. Who am I to have a bookstore and not attack that? And prison illiteracy is at 74%. So I gotta attack that.
Wow. They say figures may lie, but liars may figure, but figures don't lie. That's some powerful statistics.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you familiar with?
That's the mission I'm on.
Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with Roach Brown?
No.
Okay. No, Roach has a radio program out of Washington, and Roach served about 35 years. And when his conviction was overturned, he got a settlement, but he put almost all the money back into doing a lot of the things you're doing, helping folks who were formerly incarcerated get back into the straight and narrow. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's what's up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you look at numbers like that, do you see a way out? Where do you see the future going for this whole situation that we're in?
Well, we got to keep us from getting locked up first.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get these police officers under control.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get the government under control.
Mm-hmm.
We also got to get community involvement. Because when we get us as a community is much stronger than the government.
Mm-hmm.
but we don't recognize our power yet.
Okay.
So that's a whole conversation that we must have first to get everybody, not everybody, because every Black person is not for you.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to get those who are for you. We got to get them in place to get them to understand that we are important and we have to take care of us.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly feel desegregation hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a Black community, we were thriving with us. We wanted to be involved. We wanted to have the same things they had. But why? If we got our own thriving community and we just need us, we don't need them, because for real, that's how these other nationalities think.
Mm-hmm.
That's how these other nationalities move. They spend money with them, with themselves, within their community. They spend time. They do community things within their community. So Black people are the only ones that want to celebrate Cinco de Mayo,
Mm-hmm.
St. Patrick's Day,
Mm-hmm.
all of these different cultures, and 4th of July when we have Juneteenth.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to really dig deep in our community to get people to understand there's nothing for us without us. There's nothing. There's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing for us without us. Until we understand the breakdown of the Willie Lynch syndrome and how that has been a problem for us in our whole being here. And until we learn the new Jim Crow, read that book and understand what they have done to us, our ancestors, our people, that we are not going to go anywhere until we get those things out of the way and these talks out of the way to understand why we need each other and not them.
Mm-hmm.
Why everything because Black people created everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a book by Dr. Supreme Understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So and we have to understand that things that are created for us and by us are within us.
Mm.
So we just gotta do right. And so until we get there, nothing else will change. I'm going to continue this fight though, because nothing is going to change until we have these conversations, multiple conversations amongst us Black people. Because we got Tim Scott, the congressman. He's not for us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's what we call the ops. So we got these token Black people who, like Ben Carson, he's a token Black guy because he thinks money is the root, but that's the root of all evil. And the way they describe us Black people, we evil, we angry all the time and stuff like that. No, that's them. We the most loving, loyal, compassionate human beings ever created. They make us who we are. They racism and the systematic things that are put in place are created by them. Homosexuality and all of that stuff is created by them. And we don't understand that. Hence why we move in those directions. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm just going to keep this fight going.
Well, you know, you said a whole lot of things there. And one thing, I grew up in the era of the 50s and the 60s. I grew up before integration. I went to a segregated school. The first 16 years of my life, I never spoke to a white person, you know. And you know, other than in a business capacity, but to have a conversation, no. And at that time, everything you said was absolutely true. We had Black cab companies, Black restaurants, Black plumbers, Black electricians. All the school teachers were Black. All the principals were Black. And there was a culture there. I'll call it a culture of caring and understanding. When people don't understand you, it's hard for them to care about you. And if they don't care, if they care, then it's double hard. And so when we had that culture, kids did better, the society did better, the community did better. But as you said, when the integration came, there was a mindset. And think about this now. Integration was implemented by the same people that had to be sued to integrate.
Yeah.
Okay, they didn't wake up one day and say, white America didn't wake up one day and say, this is wrong. We need to make it an even playing field. We need to do these things to transform the world. They had to be sued. Brown versus the Board of Education was a landmark case, and that was 1954. It took another 15 years before many of the states actually implemented that program. And then when it was implemented by the same people who fought it. So it never did get a fair shot. So their interpretation of integration was to destroy the black schools, destroy the black businesses, destroy the black economic center, and have you all come over to the white schools, the white businesses, the white centers. So,
and that's what's happening right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So things haven't really changed. And my grandmother is 85, so she done lived it all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So she's seen the steps and everything that went through. While we celebrate different things that has happened good to us, we are looking at 10 other things on top of that one thing good. We're looking at 10 things bad that is happening to us.
Mm-hmm.
The laws that are put in place to keep us down, the different fight from different just not even white people now. It's Asians who are up against us too.
Yeah.
They are Mexicans who are up against us. And you would think the Mexicans would be with us because they're attacking them too.
Mm-hmm.
So we just got everybody against us because the white man said so.
Mm-hmm.
So until these conversations are had, we are going to keep this fight. And it's going to have to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to stop as long as these situations and systems are in place.
Well, what do you think now? What do you think about the whole election process, the voting process? How should
the electoral college, you gotta go.
Mm-hmm. Well, how about the grassroots voting initiative? What's happening on the streets and on the level in the city in the local elections? How should
Go ahead.
How should black folks be responding to that, especially our young people?
They gotta vote.
Mm-hmm.
See, you see what happens when we vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they don't like it. So because they don't like it, they put in systems to prevent us from voting. They start changing the maps.
Mm-hmm.
They try to make it hard to get these old people, these old grandmothers out here to vote. Because they fought for this right. Our ancestors fought for this right. So these youngins have to understand that voting works, voting matters, but we got to get that electoral college out. And people also need to understand that local elections are more important than that federal.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and the attorney general is the most powerful politician on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Well,
because he changes everything for your state.
Yeah.
And people, and it amazes me. People in school took government. Everybody has to have it. And nobody understands the process of government.
Well, Tia, a lot of schools, especially in the South, have taken, they call it civics, and government have taken that out of the curriculum. They don't want people. I know when I was a kid, there was when you became a senior, part of that was to go to see Washington, to see the government, the center of government, and how stuff worked. But they've taken a lot of that out or made it so expensive that most of the black kids can't go. They had a situation in Wilmington where we had the trip to, this is maybe 15 years ago, the trip to Washington to see, the government and how stuff works. And it cost $200. So most of the black kids didn't have many of the black kids didn't have the money, so we got the money together to send them. And so they'll put it in one way and take it out in another. So that's a critical point. Education of the political process, recognizing that all power is local, that you got to deal with the local elections. And then the next is the state elections, because one of the things now you have every state has an attorney general. And interesting thing up there with George Floyd, if that state had not had a black attorney general, I don't know that the George Floyd case would have even been processed. And so I think to really teach the young people, the local elections, states are critical. And the reason the state elections are so critical is the state legislatures are the ones that draw the maps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, but that's where you live, right?
Yeah.
So why not go out and find out who your mayor are, who your governor, who your attorney general, who your state's attorney, and choose them wisely. Just don't choose them because the name is popular in these streets. You gotta, like, people don't understand when voting, you gotta dig, because you're voting this person in for a term.
Yeah.
And that means you need to do your research, because they're gonna be messing up your life and the life of others for that term if you don't get it right.
Yes. Yes.
So we gotta do our due diligence, and the same thing with these congressmen. The congressmen that go from your community, go to DC and make laws. Like, you gotta put them in play, but you gotta do your research. You gotta know that person took money from this person. So everything you saying you asking for and he feeding you that, it's not gonna happen because he took money from that person.
Who has a whole different perspective.
A whole different perspective, and it ain't on your side.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Tia, tell a little about your background. You are such a rare young individual, a person who is entrepreneurial, conscious, aware of how stuff works. A little about your background.
Well, I'm from these streets. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I'm here in Baltimore. I didn't have to do the things that I've done, so I just want to make that clear, because my mother, she was educated. She was a school teacher. My grandmother raised us while she was at work or school. So we didn't struggle. You know what I'm saying? Like, we did things, but it was a disconnect with my mother and I rebelled, and I went to the streets. And I learned a lot, because that's how I built my businesses. I built my businesses like I built the streets. And I went to jail. I had attempt murder, and I went to jail. I had a kidnapping. I went to jail, but I made it out. And I always knew, though, it was something crazy and funky. But I didn't know how to put that energy. So now I do. So now it's on.
Wow.
And I'm just a success story, man. What I'm doing is cleaning up the streets I help tear down. That's number one.
Okay.
And number two is to take care of formerly incarcerated people, but mainly incarcerated people. That's my big fight.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we're going to definitely get together on, a lot of the 12 Universal Laws of Success. I get letters from incarcerated people every day, and who've gotten the book. There was a lady out of Brooklyn, New York, that had a newsletter that went to a lot of the prisons, and it featured the book. And so a lot of people bought the book. A lot of systems bought the book. A lot of individual citizens had their parents or other people buy the books for them. Whenever an incarcerated person writes me for a book, I send it to them free of charge. I get, hey, you're gonna get this book, and so it's been very helpful. You have, though, gone through such a growth process. If you look back on your life now, what advice, as you said, when you and your mom were going through your struggles and whatnot, if you look back on your life now, what advice would you give your younger self?
Stay the course.
Stay the course. Okay.
And that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed the course. Regardless of what I did or what I was doing, I never not stayed my course.
Mm-hmm.
I always completed what I started.
Okay.
I never gave up anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I never quit anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's a quote by Nelson Mandela. I never lose. I either win or I learn.
Right.
I
Yeah.
live by that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just how I move.
Yes.
That's how I move. With everyday life, that's my purpose. I get up. People ask me how I'm doing. I be like, amazing. They be like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they be like, I never heard that before. Oh, well, you ain't never meet me.
Uh-huh. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I tell people, they like, but what makes you amazing? Because I woke up this morning.
Yes. Got you. Yeah.
I get to try it all over again to
Yeah.
get it right.
To get
Do
it right.
something different.
Yeah.
And I always greet people who have a dope day on purpose.
Okay.
Now
Yeah.
I got everybody saying that in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or form.
Uh-huh.
So I'm a trendsetter. You gotta
Uh-huh.
be a trendsetter. You gotta be a person who people will want to follow and inspire. And that's my legacy.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? I'm leaving people with wealth of knowledge with my legacy. And that's all I want to do is inspire people and help people. That's it. That's the only reason I'm still here. That's my mission.
I got you. Yeah.
I could have been dead 10 times. I done been shot at, stabbed, put in different situations and all kind of you know what I'm saying? So I'm here with a purpose and I understand that purpose. So I'm going to deliver that purpose.
Woo! All right now. All right. Well, you when you say that, it makes chills go through your body because you say it with such passion that you know it's going to happen. I'm gonna tell you this, Tia, when you read the 12 Universal Laws of Success, I sent you another book too called Solving the Race Issue in America.
Mm-hmm.
When you read those two books, you're gonna look back on this conversation. You're gonna say, "Man, I could have written that. I could have written that because that's a lot of my thinking." Wow. Well, when you look to the future, if you look down the road 20, 25 years, and you look at where you are right now, from the future, if you look back, what advice would you give your current self?
Well, first I'm gonna pat myself on the back. I'm gonna say, "Child, you done good."
All right. Okay.
You done good.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say, you did all you could do.
Okay.
And whatever it is that I'm gonna be doing at the time, I'm gonna lay a foundation for it for others to do the same.
Yeah.
I call myself the book dealer.
Okay.
And people love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, yo, I'm not out here pushing drugs no more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not out here dealing drugs in these streets no more. I'm dealing these books.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pushing these books. So I got T-shirts that say, front of them say, hashtag Bush Dealer on the back. It said hashtag book pusher.
Okay.
Because that's what I'm pushing out here. So
Yeah.
the advice I'm gonna give is just keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
You done good. Your mind, your brain, your mind is enormous.
Mm-hmm.
Can't nothing stop it. My self-esteem never been low though, so I came out the womb ready for war.
You know what?
I'm always ready for the fight.
You know what? Somebody once said, he said, "Man, I was so bad that when I came out the womb, when the doctor slapped me on my behind, I slapped him back."
That's right. That's right. Don't be hitting me.
Wow.
Don't be hitting me.
Yeah.
I always came out fierce and a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what leaders do. We lead. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I need to give those followers something to follow.
Yeah. Wow.
And I'm giving them a good representation on what to follow, who to follow, and how.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow. if you look back on your life, was there ever one or two big obstacles that held you back or that slowed you down? And how did you overcome it?
Well, going to jail held me down. But I always had a good lawyer. I never fought none of my cases. I never fought with a public defender.
Okay.
But but not that that's good, because they all paid attorneys who are assholes and will railroad you. But I understood the law.
Okay.
I understood how to read, and I understood how to write. And that's what a lot of these little people out here is not doing. They're not reading, they're not writing, and hence that's why they in jail wrongfully. And it takes them about 15, 20 years before they figure it out.
I got you.
And they still in jail. That reality, that's when reality hit them. Like, damn, I'm still in jail. And then when they learn how to read, it's crazy. Like Freeway Rick Ross.
Okay.
That's my brother. That's my brother. He didn't know how to read. Freeway was a tennis champion. And he had got a scholarship on tennis. But the school told him no, because he couldn't read. So just imagine if he could read, if he didn't know how to read, if the school would have just took that time to give him tutors to teach him how to read while he go to tennis and be great.
Wow.
They didn't do that. They sent him out in the street to the wolves. And that's how Rick Ross became Rick Ross.
Wow.
But we wouldn't even know Rick Ross on that level. We didn't know him for tennis. So these white people don't want to see us succeed. So we got to put these books in these babies' hands. My godson is with me for the summer. He's 11 years old. I told him, I said, you're going to read while you with me every day. And you're going to read my magazine from the first issue to the present. And you're going to learn the atrocities that's been brought on your people from them. And I'm going to quiz you, and you're going to answer these questions.
Yeah.
And you need to understand that reading is your superpower. And once you learn how to read, that's one superpower they can't take from you. So you put this book in your hand and you embrace it, you love it, and you learn it. And that's what I'm going to teach other children. That's what I need them to understand, that reading is their superpower, and that's all they got. As long as they're reading, they will be successful. So a lot of these dudes that are wrongfully convicted, they don't know how to read. That's why prison illiteracy is so high, because they don't know or understand what's happening. All they understand is money. So when I go to these prisons and I tell them, I hold my magazine up and I say, yo, same grind, different product. If you ever ran a block, you're a supervisor somewhere. But if you ever ran that organization, you're a whole CEO. So what you have are transferable skills.
Okay.
You already know how to boss people, how to supervise them. You already know how to do marketing. You already know how to do sales. You already know how to do bookkeeping, accounting. You already work with numbers. Those are transferable skills. They look at me like I'm crazy. Like, damn, I ain't never think about it like that. Of course not.
Yeah.
Those are transferable skills. So we're going to teach them how to use that skill that they already have on the legal side.
Wow.
And watch them blossom.
Watch them blossom. Now, are there some white people, though, that work with you and are helpful in moving you along?
Of course. And shout out to my real white allies. You know what I'm saying? But if I didn't have them, I would think all white people are fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I got some real true soldier white people that will come and smack any white person for me. That will get on the front lines for me. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to my real white allies that's stomping with me and pushing the right agenda,
Yeah.
and not the agenda that they want us to have.
Now that's key. That's very
Yep.
key. See, because over the years I've watched it, and when you look at even the elections, it's funny. Like I'm in North Carolina, and the white people are pretty much even. You got the good white people, and you got the ungood white people, the bad white people, and they're pretty much balanced. It's just like the Civil War. In the Civil War, and this is very interesting. More people were killed in the Civil War, more Americans than in World War One. In the Civil War, 600,000 people were killed. That was about 4% of the population. 600,000 people were killed. 315,000 from the South, 315,000 from the North. Okay, so it was like kind of equally balanced. But what changes the direction is when the good people, the people with a vision, based on truth. As you say, the good Lord created us to be human beings. Man, there's certain men that interpret that in a whole different way. But when you can bring people together who have a common vision of humanity, that you're as good and I'm as good, they're as good, everybody on a playing field of consciousness, things will change. And it's almost like we're the ones that are keeping the truth.
Yeah. See, when people understand that we all bleed the same.
Yeah.
I don't bleed black and they don't bleed white.
Yeah.
We all bleed the same color.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's real.
Yeah.
And that's what they don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a whole different type of situation going on.
Wow.
But racism is taught. It's a learned behavior. It's not something somebody's born with. They come out the womb and they racist. It's a learned behavior. It's a taught behavior. And these parents are repeating their ancestors. That's why we got critical race theory. They don't want their children to understand what them and their ancestors have done and continue to do to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the more books they ban, the more we need to read them.
Yes. Yes.
Because there's something in there they don't want us to read.
You say you can take the banned book list and say that's your reading assignment.
That's it. Like I'm beefing. I get death threats from these racist people. I get emails and threaten to come kill me and my family and whatever. Pull up. You know what I'm saying? But none of them are saying, I'm sorry. How can we fix it?
Yeah. And that's the bottom line. Because the the Bible says you got to first acknowledge. Then you got to ask forgiveness. And then you make atonement.
But another thing, though, they using religion.
Oh. Yeah.
While they praising the God, they using that God to disrespect us and bring us down.
Yeah.
So religion can't even be trusted because they can't be trusted. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anytime you using the same God, you go and pray and praise to and say, Father God, fix it and help us do this. In the same eye, you doing evil. But I thought you just said in church to God that evil don't exist. But you out here bleeding devilish ways. Yeah. Doing devilish things.
Yeah.
And it's not right.
Yeah. Well, there's a book. But it's a book on hanging and lynching without recourse. And one of the interesting things in the book, it talks about the fact that so many lynchings were done after church on Sunday. Where the people would come and make it a picnic to watch this man. They'd burn him, they'd lynch him, and then they'd cut him, and then they'd burn him. And they made it an event to teach people how you can treat black folks. Yeah.
Yeah,
after
it's
church.
a learned behavior. It's just taught. And they around here teaching religion, doing the things that they do.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So it's just all messed up. And it's all started by the white man.
And always behind, when we look at slavery, really, it was it was an economic system. I mean, if you can get free labor, anybody can be successful.
And that's with the prison. So I be teaching people about these industries and these companies that invest in prisons, like McDonald's, Starbucks, Wendy's, Victoria's Secret, BP gas station, Exxon. Like 6% of the major corporations invest in prisons. They like from your car.
Yeah.
Your car is damn near built in prison. Like the furniture in school, the furniture in hospital, that's made in prison.
Yeah.
Victoria's Secret, it comes from China. It goes to the prison and get retagged, made in America, and then sold. So like the Wendy's and McDonald's, their cups and everything, the things that they wrap your food with is made in prison. So why are you supporting those companies? Getting free labor off of shit that we are in there building and doing when the average person only make $25 a month.
Wow.
For building everything that you utilize every day.
Wow.
And you got 4 states that don't even pay. Texas, Arkansas, Alabama, and Oklahoma. They don't even pay
a prisoner.
And if you refuse to go to work, they could put you on solitary confinement. We got Louisiana, who still got cotton fields for the inmates to go out and pick cotton. This is happening today, right now.
Yeah.
So it's no secret as to why the prison industry complex is making $1 billion a year. The Bush family, the president, his family, they own commissary, making $1 billion a year. But Bob Barker, Mr. Price is Right, he owns commissary, making $1 billion a year. And he talking about get your pet sprayed or neutered, and you out here spraying and neutering all of this bad, all the good stuff that's happening to us and putting bad in it.
Wow.
Like, those are the things we got to be mindful. And Michael Jordan is not the sneaker guy, basketball player that's invested in prison. It's a white man named Michael Jordan that invests in prisons.
Okay.
So these are the things that we got to be mindful of and we got to do research on. Because my godson asked me to take him to McDonald's. I said, not in Baltimore. I don't eat that. I don't support that. And he asked me why, so I had to explain to him. That's another thing with parents. Know what's going on so you could break it down to your baby.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting when you mention that whole the prison industrial complex. There's certain businesses, and we live in a capitalist society, but there's certain industries that should not be profit driven. Because if they're profit driven, they're going to always take advantage. They're going to always seek to maximize profits. So prisons should not be profit driven. They didn't always be profit driven. They used to be rehabilitation used to be the mindset. But somewhere along the line, all that, like, we don't want it. We got free labor here.
It ain't never been the mindset. That's just what they tell us. It ain't never been the mindset. If it was for us to rehabilitate and do right, they will be providing those things and resources in the prison to do that with.
Yeah.
They don't do that. What they do is, because they the biggest gang. It's not the Bloods, the Crips, the BGF, and none of that. It's fraternities. It's judges, police, courts. Those type of systems are the gangs. They the ones, the government, they the ones that destroy us and then turn around and sick it on the black people and force us to do those things to one another.
Okay.
So it has never been about rehabilitation. It's always been about seeking and destroying us. But they use those terms to make, it's a mind control. They use those terms to play mind games. It's never been about rehabilitation. Do you know in the Fed, before they could go to school, they got to be 7 years before they come home, removed from being home, before they could go to college? When Clinton was in office, he removed education from the prison system. Obama tried to bring some of it back. They bucked against him about doing that because idle mind is an evil mind.
Ooh, Lord, yes.
So you got to give these dudes something to do, just like these kids somewhere to go and play, or they're going to cause destruction. And guess what? That's what they're doing, because they don't want us to be successful. They don't want us to learn. They don't want us to listen. They don't want us to teach one, each one. Each one, teach one, I mean. They don't want that. So they put these systems in place to prevent that, and then put it in our mind that this is happening and why it's happening because of us. But in hindsight, it's systematic.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the ultimate trick, you know, to put you in the bag and then make you think you created it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's never been about rehabilitation for us. We are only 13.4% of the population, but we are the most incarcerated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are 6.5 million people on some form of prison, whether it's in jail, on probation, on parole, out on the home monitor, something. That's hindering us from producing in life. I'm trying to get these laws passed to give us housing. Stop playing. In Maryland, we got the ban the box. Stop asking us, have we been convicted of anything when we trying to get employment?
Yeah.
The average person out here on the street don't want to sell drugs. They don't even want to be on the street. But that's all they got, because they don't have no education. They don't know how to get an education, because it's a generational thing. They've been raised generation after generation after generation, been hindered, and that's all they know. So when they're not used to being taught or given opportunity, they're being lied to all the time. So they don't have no trust in the community or people.
Yeah.
So they don't know how to go get the resources, because they've never been given a resource ever.
Yeah.
You got and that's another thing, removing the men from the home. They either dead, in prison, or not taking care of the baby. But we gotta also check us women. Us women need to get our shit together too. You hold child support. What child support do in Maryland? Hinder the black man for being successful. He can't get a job. He can't get a driver's license. So if he can't get a driver's license and he applying for a job that require him to have a car, make it make sense.
Yeah.
You want your child support. How he gonna do that if he being hindered? You're mad because you're not getting certain things from these men. So this is the punishment. I know a few of my homeboys that's been put on child support, and they take care of their baby. They go get them. They take care of them and all of that. And because that man remarried, the baby mother had child support. Lord, child is frivolous. And then these women need to close their legs. You out here having baby after baby after baby after baby with different men and expect them to want that. You're having baby by men who don't even want the baby. So you should have protected yourself. He should have protected himself. So now y'all got a baby. He don't want to deal with the baby. And you're going to have that baby. Talk about you don't believe in abortion, but do you believe in safe sex? Like, all of these things play a part in why we are messing up in the community.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to have a child, at least be financially stable. Don't be on the government assistance, collecting food stamps, and not working, doing nothing.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I'm not knocking food stamps, because I received them before. But what I'm knocking is irresponsible adulthood.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Get your shit together.
Yes. Wow.
Understand the processes. Stop sleeping with men that don't deserve your womb.
Woo. Yes.
Stop sleeping with toxic men. Stop sleeping with toxic women. Because every woman don't deserve your manhood.
Okay.
So you thinking with the wrong head, and you like, oh, that's the vagina. I need to get that. And they scorn these women, and they getting them pregnant, and they walking away from the baby because they don't want it, but you saw her out. You didn't use protection. You didn't use anything, and you just around here having babies after babies, and you're not protecting yourself either. So men and women have to understand, one, we're not each other's enemies.
Mm-hmm.
We actually need each other.
Yes.
We are whole with one another.
Yes.
We are in completion with one another. So until we understand that part, we got to get it together. We got to put therapy in our communities.
Yes.
They think that's the scary word.
Uh-huh.
But when all actuality, white people run the therapists like like they was running water.
Uh-huh.
So we got so many things that we have to get and address with ourselves and understand the laws of power,
mm-hmm.
which is the people at bay, and understand that before we can fix everything that's going on. It's going to take some time.
It's going to take some time.
And it's going to take some deep cleansing and learning and healing.
Yes. Woo! We need a community, what do they call it? Oh man, the colonic. Yeah, a community colonic. A mental, a spiritual colonic. Well, I'll tell you, Tia, you have shared a perspective that needs to be heard. You know, there are a lot of people that may run away from some of the things, but reality is reality. And you need to know it, and you've shared it. Any final thoughts you'd like to share? Because you've said so many things today and really pointed out so many things about systems. You see, that's, and you know, the fact that you can comprehend and understand systems, that's a powerful piece. And many times you have to break it down for others so they can see how these, like I love the movies, The Matrix, because it's like everybody's in a matrix. There's a prison matrix. There's an education matrix. There's a political matrix. There's social matrices. So any final thoughts for our audience? Because you've laid some powerful stuff out today.
Man, knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Follow me, though. Follow me.
Yeah, give us your website and all your contact information. Uh-huh.
So follow the magazine at State BS US Mag. Follow the bookstore, Urban Reads Bookstore. I'm on Threads, but I'm really not on Threads. But I'm on all social media platforms except for Snapchat.
Okay.
The website is statebsurmag.com. OurUrbanReads.com, and just get with it. Like, support the mission. Donate to my mission. Donate to get books in the prisons, man. They need it. It literacy at 74%. We got to get these guys reading. We got to get these juveniles reading too. I donated 500 books to the juveniles over Christmas. So we just got to get these books in these babies' hands so they can understand what's happening to them and they counterparts.
Yes, yes. Well, I got a lot of that. What's your Instagram? Because you do a lot of work on Instagram, right?
Yeah. Urban Reads Bookstore and State VS US.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, Tia, I have enjoyed this. I'm gonna.
Oh, one thing.
Yes.
I started a cannabis collective. It's a group of entrepreneurs, some in the business, some isn't, and we are an advocacy group. And my main goal is to teach formerly incarcerated people this business.
Okay.
And how to take that that illegal side and change it over to the legal side.
Yeah.
Because we already know the transferable skills they have, and we was locked up the most of this. So that's what I'm working on, and that's what we're doing. We having our first community meeting on August 1st. Because we're about to get these formerly incarcerated people businesses in Canada.
Okay.
Time to stop playing.
All right now. Well, thank you so much, Tia. I have enjoyed this. This has been extremely enlightening. To all of our listeners, this is one of those interviews you're going to really want to listen to. You're going to hear some things you may not agree with. You're going to hear some things you may not like. But a lot of times truth is like that. You know, every truth ain't pretty.
We gotta have these conversations. Whether you agree with me or not, The
Yes.
conversation still must be had, but we got to do it respectfully.
Yes, exactly. And that's the key point, that dialogue is critical, conversations are critical, do them respectfully. But trust me, when we can work together to look at the truth, the world that's been laid out here, the world that we know, all of us have different worlds that we live in, but they all intersect at a place called humanity.
Yeah.
That human beings, and that when we treat one another as human beings, regardless of race, creed, color, national origin, when we can, as you said, Tia, everybody bleeds red. you know, you can't tell red blood from a white man from blood from a black man. It's interesting because
unless you testing it, but we out here on these streets. We all the same. Unless you testing it to find out positive and where it came from, we all out here on these streets bleeding the same thing, and we gotta understand that.
Yes, absolutely.
Gotta understand it, and we gotta understand us, because if we knew our power, we'd take over this shit, and that's what they know, and they trying to keep us from using our power.
All right now. All right, thank you so much, Tia. Listeners, be sure to plug in and listen to this. We're going to have on the website the Urban Reads Bookstore in Baltimore, Maryland, the magazine State Best U.S. Mags, all of that. We're going to make sure to get that information out there. Thank you for the work that you do, Tia. Keep up your great work, and go and check your mail, because you need to have the 12 Universal Laws of Success and Solving the Race Issue in America. I'm going to donate some books to you to give out to your people too, so that we'll be in touch. Thank you so much, folks.
Thank you, guys. See you later.
Thank you. Remember this, you can be what you want to be, do what you want to do, have anything you desire, always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it is.
Absolutely.